Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight to it. I'm going to respond to an email that a brother sent me on trimming your facial hair. So let's get it. Good evening, brother. I hope everything is going well with you and your loved ones. Same to you, brother. For sure. I appreciate it. Reading on, it says, I am sending you the present email because I am wondering if it is lawful to trim my facial hair on the side and only keep a goatee and mustache. In Leviticus, it says that we should not cut off the edges of our beard, but I was wondering if I could choose that style of beard. I know the question might sound idiotic, but I've been pondering on it for a couple of days. Doesn't sound idiotic at all to me at all, brother. If you could provide me with your perspective, I think it could help. May the Lord bless you and shelter you as well as our people. Have a great evening. Thank you, brother. May the Lord bless you as well and shelter you as well, you and yours. So, I'm glad that you brothers send me these emails, and I just want to say this really quickly. Like, when I'm providing my perspective on this, I'm not coming from a standpoint of, oh, I know more than you, or I'm in this thing harder than you and listen to me. Just maybe I can provide either a perspective, a scripture, some type of stance that can edify you to add to your own arsenal. And I believe you brothers can do the same thing. So I'm never coming from a standpoint of, like I know more than you or anything like that. So just saying that quickly. So anybody sending me any emails, I do appreciate it. That you brothers would value my opinion or my perspective. So let's jump on in where it says here, in Leviticus, it says that we should not cut off the edges of our beard. I believe I know what scripture this brother is referring to. And also the answer to the question, which I haven't said yet, is no, I do not believe that you should cut off the edges of your beard to only keep a goatee and mustache. All right. And we're going to see why I have that perspective. Let's go to Leviticus 21:5. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. So that's exactly what you would be doing. You would be shaving off the corner of your beard, pretty much which would be going against this commandment. But I want to talk about all three things that are mentioned here essentially in Leviticus 21:5. So making baldness upon your head, shaving off the corner of your beard, and also making any cuttings in your flesh. Okay, we're going to talk about all three. And that's how I came to this perspective, essentially answering the brother's question, which is I don't believe you should, cut off the sides of your beard to make a goatee. So it's very interesting when you read the scriptures, mainly the law, which is where the Most High has given us his statute, laws, and commandments. The law is normally found in the Torah, or is mainly found in the Torah, and the Torah is found in the first 5 books of the Bible, being Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. So let's read something here just to give a little prelude to what we're about to go into. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 18, start at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, verse 2, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. This is very specific. So for those that don't understand, when you're reading the Bible, it's not wrote to every single person, every single nation. Eventually all nations will have to abide by the statute, laws, and commandments once Yahushua comes back, or Christ. But this was written to a certain people. Okay, that's why I said, speaking to the children of Israel and saying to them, I am the Lord your God. Okay. Leviticus, the 18th chapter, verse 3 reads, After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So the reason I brought up the Torah and the law, when you read the law, a lot of the statutes and laws and commandments that we see is essentially telling us not to do what the Canaanites were doing and what the Egyptians were doing. And speaking of, one of the things that the Egyptians are known to do is to make themselves bald, cut off all their facial hair, cut off all the hair on their head too as well. Okay, and we can see that numerous times in the scriptures. So we are not to be like the other nations. Okay, we're called to be a separate people, all right, a special people unto the Most High, and to not do what the other nations do, right? Like Jeremiah, the 10th chapter. So after the doings are just right here, Leviticus 18:3, after the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. So we shouldn't shave our heads like the Egyptians do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, like cutting ourselves for the dead, or what today we will call a tattoo, or just scarification, which we're going to see a little bit more about that too as well. Brother, I bring you shall ye not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances. So that's scripturally why we do not do that. And that's the thing. Like, again, a lot of times when you see a commandment, you know, you may or may not understand why the Most High is saying to not do something or to do something. And it may have to do with something like this, or it could be something else. But there's always a reason that the Most High commands us to do or to not to do something. All right. There's always a meaning on the surface level, or in the physical world, and in the spiritual world too as well. So Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 1 reads, ye are the children of the Lord your God. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. All right. Verse 2, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. All right. So that has not changed. Everything in the so-called New Testament reflects what was written in the so-called Old Testament. Nothing has changed there. But point is it says that you should not cut yourself or make baldness between your eyes for the dead. When it says that, it's double fold. Not just dead people, but also the various gods of the dead that you see in the Egyptian mythologies, or the Canaanite mythologies, which we'll go into that in a little bit here. Like in the Egyptian mythologies, you have like an Osiris. In the Canaanite mythologies, you have Baal, which you see mentioned in the scriptures. So a lot of those people did these things in veneration or praise of these pagan deities. And that's why we're not to do these things. We're not to do these things. So that's just, I just wanted to bring this up real quick so we can get a little background on why the Most High is saying this. Is not just as simple as not cutting your beard. It's a lot deeper than that on the spiritual level. All right. We're called to be set apart or holy. That's what the word holy essentially means, is to be set apart. All right. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. And the Most High have chosen thee to be a peculiar people, be peculiar, to be different. All right. Unto himself above all nations are upon the earth. All right. So I just had to go into that for a little bit, because the first thing I want to talk about here is making baldness upon your head, because Leviticus 21:5 says they shall not make baldness upon their head. So you're not supposed to voluntarily make yourself bald if you can grow hair. Now, if you get into the point where it's like you pretty much just bald and there's nothing you can do about it, you know, shaving it down so that you don't have like just, you know, especially so-called white man, he have just like, you know, 3 inches of hair on the left and the right side looking a little crazy. But I might put a picture of that like on the screen or something. And even with that, like you could just pretty much cut it all the way down, but not just shave it to a bald head. You're not really supposed to make your head bald unless There's literally nothing else you can do. You already going bald. All right. You're not supposed to do that according to Leviticus 21:5. All right. And let's talk about baldness of the head. Okay. Head shaving. As it says here, again, it's deeper than just cutting off hair off your head. It says head shaving is a form of body modification which involves shaving the hair from a person's head. People throughout history have shaved all or part of their heads for diverse reasons, including aesthetics, convenience, culture, fashion, practicality, punishment, a rite of passage, religion, or style. So we're more talking about like the culture or the religious standpoint right now. Okay, let's read early history here. It says the earliest historical records describing head shaving are from ancient Mediterranean cultures such as Egypt, Greece, and Rome. It says the Egyptian priest class ritualistically removed all hair from head to toe by plucking it. See, that's why the Most High told us in Leviticus 18 to not do the ways of the Egyptians, pretty much. Okay, because that's what they did. They removed all the hair off their head. And then, like it says here, a Thai Buddhist monk shaving the head of a man preparing to also become a Buddhist monk. This is known as tonsure. So we know that the monks do this too as well. So the other nations, of course, not all of them, but different nations within the other nations, they tend to make themselves bald, and we shouldn't do that. All right. Again, it's a lot deeper than just having hair on your head. All right. So we can keep going, but that was the point that I wanted to bring up here. And we see that in the scriptures, right? Let's get Genesis 41:14. It says, then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. So you remember when Joseph's other brothers, when they finally found him as the assistant to the Pharaoh in Egypt during the famine, when the other brothers came in and they saw Joseph and they didn't recognize him, that's one reason why, is because he was shaved. Okay. So, and then that's another reason that that the Egyptians were either what you would call so-called black or just quote unquote African. And they looked the same as the Israelites because Joseph was able to dwell within the Egyptian people and pretty much blend in, and he looked pretty much the same. That's why nobody could tell Joseph apart, especially the Israelites, his brothers, which were the patriarchs of the 12 tribes. All right. But anyways, point being is that you saw that Joseph shaved himself and he was following the rites of the Egyptians. OK, and that's why he did that, which he was pretty much forced to do. And that's another thing. So like when you think about it, if you happen to be in like the military or I don't know, something, some type of job or position, career where it calls you to shave yourself, whether it be your beard or your head or something like that, you obviously don't want to do it. If it comes down to it, do it, but do it with the spirit of this is only temporary until I get in the position where I don't have to do this anymore. All right. And that's pretty much what Joseph did. We didn't see the Most High come down on Joseph too much because of this. But I mean, look what position that he was put in. His brothers put him in this position where he was even sent off to Egypt in the first place. It was all to fulfill prophecy, but long term, it was all to fulfill prophecy. But just here in the short term, we didn't see the Most High come down on them too hard about that. But that's why, because it's more in the spirit of, all right, this is temporary. All right. So same thing with you. So if you have a situation where you have to do that, then, use your discernment. If you have to, you may have to do it, especially again, considering what position it is, what career or whatever the case. But I would want to get out that situation, and maybe not right then and there, maybe not within the same year, but eventually that's where my spirit would be at with that. All right. And another thing about, we'll talk about that in a second as far as cutting your beard, because I have something else I want to say on that. But Let's get 2 Kings chapter 2 and verse 23. And he went up from thence into Bethel, and as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city and mocked him and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head. So this is referring to Elijah. All right. So Elijah was mocked by these little children that said, Thou bald head, thou bald head. So it's apparent to me that Elijah must have had some type of, hair balding or receding hairline like a LeBron James or something. But LeBron, he keeps getting like hair transplants and they fall out every year. And then you come back and he got a new lineup the next year. But it must have been something like that with Elijah because he was a devout follower of the Most High. Obviously, he was not making his own self bald. But as you see, it was something that you could be mocked about. It was something looked down upon, if you were bald, at least as an Israelite. All right. It was something it was something looked down upon, pretty much frowned upon. All right. So let's get verse 24. And he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Most High. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood and tear 40 and 2 children of them. So, them little boys was like, you look in the South. I don't know. We have like a million different ways to say somebody is telling a joke between so-called black people. Where I'm at specifically, or where I'm from at specifically in Alabama, we would say the word jank. You got joking, you got jonesing. Everybody pretty much know joking, or, even you brothers like this in the East Coast. If I say something like that, you probably know what I'm referring to. But whatever the case, he was joking, he was joning here, even janking it from where I come from. And look what happened to these boys. They got towed up by some bears by calling him a bald head. So just imagine, this is something that was looked down upon. All right. I've said it like 3 times, but I'm just trying to put the point across. That's why you should not be balding your head. All right. So that pretty much explains why you should not bald your head. But now let's talk more about the beard. Let's get Leviticus 19 and verse 27. Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall thou mar the corners of thy beard. So that's pretty much what you were alluding to doing, because to have a goatee, at least if your mustache and your bottom of your beard connect, that's what you normally would call a goatee. Everything else that's on the side of your cheeks, that would be you marring or destroying or cutting the corners of your beard. And that's why so-called black people, when you think about it, we some of the only people that we cannot consistently cut our beards or cut our hair like that. And if we do, we'll get nasty hair bumps. All right. That's just one reason right there. The Most High trying to show you. And of course, from a surface level, it's because our hair is so coily that when you cut that hair, it seeps down in your skin and causes the hair bumps. But from a spiritual standpoint, that's the Most High trying to tell you that. It's kind of like with us eating, seafood, like a shrimp and things like that. Like a lot of brothers get iodine poisoning. All right. Are they allergic to these shellfishes and, things like that? But I ain't never seen a brother allergic to no steak. It's the Most High trying to give you signs. You know what I mean? So, no, you don't want to cut the corners of your beard. And it's a great privilege to have a beard. You look similar to a lion, all right, with that mighty mane. But here's and more. What I'm going to go into now is why I believe and I have this stance. Okay, now let's get Numbers, the 6th chapter. And we really could start from the top. Yeah, let's start from the top really quickly. Now I'm going to go to verse 5. All right, it says, Law of the Nazarites. So Numbers, the 6th chapter, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, verse 2, speaking to the children of Israel, and say unto them, when either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto the Lord. Verse 3, He shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dried. And I'll just read through actually verse 4. All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. So what we're reading about here, if you're not aware, this is the Nazarite vow, the vow of the Nazarite. And it's showing you, if you want to separate yourself to make this vow to get closer to the Most High, or to become a Nazarite, these are the rules or the statutes of the Nazarite vow. Are you not supposed to drink anything from the vine? All right. No vinegar of wine, no vinegar of strong drink. So you wouldn't have any strong drink at all. You drink nothing from a grape actually at all, nor eat moist grapes or dried. Okay. Now look, let's see what it says here in verse 5. All the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled, in the which he separated himself unto the Lord. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. So just think about it like this. This kind of goes into the other part. So, and what I wanted to cover. So you can trim yourself, and like the hair on top of your head, brothers be asking this sometimes too, is can you get haircuts? You know, they'll read Leviticus 19 and 27 and be like, oh, dang, I can't get a lineup. Or in other parts of the country, you could say shape up, line up, edge up. All pretty much mean the same thing. Can I not get a haircut, essentially? And yes, you can. You know, we've been getting haircuts. It's not unlawful to get a haircut, okay, to get a trim, to line things up. All right. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. But again, it's about shaving off your hair on your head, or shaving off completely your beard, because you even can trim a beard, but you cannot actually shave it off completely, because I'm not a barber or anything, but for the brothers that are barbers, you understand, like, that's a different razor you use, or a different shaver, or a different technique to cut hair completely off versus just trimming it down. It's normally like a different, not different razor, different, I don't know what I'm saying, a clipper that you use. Normally it's two different clippers. Like, it's a whole different procedure. So the Most High is not saying like one hair of your beard come off and you going off, or if you trim it a little bit to make it look better, but you're not supposed to completely shave it off. Okay. And again, I'm using number 6 to demonstrate that if this wasn't the case, then why is it part of the Nazarite vow to avoid using any razors, or not have any razors come across your head? You see what I'm saying there? Because if you couldn't do any trimming at all, then this wouldn't be a part of the Nazarite vow, right? Because this is a vow you take to separate yourself. So it's things that you don't do during your vow as a Nazarite when you separate yourself into the Most High. All right. So that means that this is common, or for someone to use a razor upon a head, but again, not from the standpoint of literally cutting everything off. It's just to line things up or to trim. Okay. So let the locks of the hair of his head grow, because everybody didn't have locks. All right. You could cut your hair as long as you don't shave it all the way off. Okay. Let's get another example in 2 Samuel 19 and 24. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. So, I mean, you can go back and read what was going on here, but this is pretty much after King David's son Absalom had died. Absalom was going off. They went to this battle. Absalom died, or he was killed, and King David was pretty much in a depression from that. He was like, "Oh, my son, my son, my son, Absalom." He was torn up about it. All right, and at that time, that's why he hadn't done none of these things. He neither dressed his feet nor trimmed his beard nor washed his clothes. So trimmed his beard. Again, you can trim your beard, but you just can't shave it off. Okay. Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 4. Wherefore Hanun took David's servants and shaved off the one half of their beards and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. Now, let's see what happens. And there were several things that happened here outside of their beards being shaved off. But you see what that's why they mentioned it, shaving off one half of the beard, because it wasn't a common thing to do for anyone to shave off their beard. OK, and of course, if you can grow one, because all of us cannot grow beards. All right. I happen to be one of them. But if you can grow a beard, then you should keep it. All right. Unless you trim it. You could trim it, just don't cut off all the hairs off of it. Anyways, verse 5. When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them, because the men were greatly ashamed. And the king said, tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return. So you see that? So it was something to be ashamed about if you didn't have your beard, if your beard was cut off. You starting to see what I'm saying here and why I had that perspective? So that's where I'm coming from. I would not rock a goatee if you can grow the rest of the beard out. Might as well not. Just keep all of it, because it is a blessing to have that beard. All right. Now, the last part of this verse to cover back here in Leviticus, the 21st chapter, we covered making baldness of the head. We covered shaving off the corner of the beard. And also, now let's cover this, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. So the other nations, not just the Canaanites and Egyptians, actually some of the other nations too as well, but mainly those two, they actually make cuttings in their flesh for the dead. Again, not just the dead as in, loved ones that died or something to that extent, but referring to the pagan deities. All right, it's called scarification. So let's look at this article here. It says the history of scarification in Africa. You see that child right there? It's kind of hard to see, but we're going to get some more examples here. You see that? It says in the past, a woman or man would have scarification marks that will distinguish him from anyone else, tell her his rank in society, family, clan, and tribe, and symbolize her beauty or strength. In some African tribes, it was like wearing your identity card on your face. True, some may hate that, but this was a mark of pride, not shame. In most African cultures, it was a major aesthetic and cultural component, as can be seen on sculptures in museums around the world. Scarification patterns on sculptures are not only marks of beauty, but marks of one's lineage as well. And in some cases, protection against evil spirits. You see, just kind of some stuff going off. Lastly, in Africa, like in Polynesia, scarification is more visible on darker skinned people than, say, tattoos. So we're not going to read the whole thing here, but as you see, look what they're doing with this child. So this is what the other nations actually do. So they actually cut themselves for the various reasons that we just read about. Mark your tribe or your clan, but for the most part, they doing it in veneration of the various pagan deities, one being Baal, okay, that we read about in the scriptures. Oh man, YouTube might take this down. This woman breast this out, but Our breasts look so trash, they probably won't. And it's probably why I got this picture here. Like, no, but, oh, so where it says scarification amongst women. But as you see, like, look at this. I mean, it looked like this Joker here back fell on a whole set of Legos or something. But they're actually cutting themselves purposefully, as you see here. Wow, that like that's going off. I don't know what these brothers doing. Not brothers of mine, ain't my tribe. But anyways, so as you see, that's just one article of many that I could have had pulled up. I just pulled up one here quickly to show you that these people actually cut themselves, all right, for Baal, for the different pagan deities that we see. And the reason for that too is a lot deeper. You know, if you I always bring up the resource, The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop, because it gives you a lot of context on some of the things that the other nations do. It gives you a lot of context, actually. It's one of the main sources that you can use that and go to other sources, like to get a lot of information. And one thing that's stated in there is why the other nations cut themselves. It's because when you had Nimrod, when you read in the scriptures, like in Genesis, the 10th chapter, when you had Nimrod was a great hunter amongst the Lord, or to the Lord, it means that he was in great rebellion to the Most High. Okay. And he led Babylon out. Now, a great patriarch at that time, which I feel like I'm just kind of saying a lot. I really should just put it on the screen. I really should just go to the two Babylons, but pretty much Shem, which he destroyed Nimrod by cutting him into several pieces. Okay, so when the other nations do this, they're cutting themselves in remembrance of Nimrod, aka Osiris, aka Baal, in the scriptures, Tammuz. All right, the different deities that you see. All right, and a lot of people do not understand this, meaning a lot of the other nations don't understand this, why they doing it, but that's why. That's on a spiritual level. You know, everything that you see done, there's a reason for it. Nobody of the other nations or anything, they're not doing anything just for no reason. Okay, and we see this in the scriptures too as well. One of my favorite chapters in the scriptures here, 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 28, it says, "And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lances till the blood gushed out upon them." So these are the priests of Baal that were cutting themselves for Baal too as well. This is a great chapter to read to demonstrate, so you can see the Most High demonstrating his strength and his power amongst the other nations. But you see, they was cutting themselves. The priests of Baal was cutting themselves for Baal till the blood gushed out upon them. So you see the scarification practice right here in the scriptures. But that's pretty much it that I had, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's my stance on it, brother. I would not shave my beard all the way off. You know, I don't know. Maybe if you wanted to do like the goatee was darker than the side, I still would keep the side. But I don't know. I wouldn't mess with none of it, to be real. Unless you were like trimming it all even or something. But that's my stance on it. And that's why we shouldn't do it. So we won't be like the other nations. And I know if brothers cutting off the side of their beard for a goatee, they're not thinking about all this. But that's why I wanted to grab a little bit more context, because even if we don't have that intention, that's what's really and truly going on a spiritual level. Us abstaining ourselves from being like the other nations. But Lord willing, this was edifying. And until the next time, I bid everyone a mighty shalom.